put some salt into the wounds of some people who had some bitter experience within their life. And of course, I agree. Some people have those kind of bitter experiences, and of course, we have too. So why not discuss this topic today? So I'm going to ask you a few questions about
Right.
friendship, and tell me what you think about it.
Please.
All right. Here comes my first question for you. We are literally living through what scientists are now calling a friendship recession. People have half the close friends they had in their 90s. So, how did we get here? And why is nobody talking about this?
When I was in school, you were a few years junior to me. One of our teachers, he gave us an essay, a written essay, and he said, just remember it for your exams. And so we did. It was about the best friend, my best friend. That is perhaps the most famous English essay of our times. Like every student knew that. So the first paragraph went exactly like I still remember. Man is social by nature. He cannot live alone. He needs companions to live his life. So the best companions are called his friends. Of course, every companion is not a friend. You have colleagues, you have people you know, but not necessarily friends. As far as your question is concerned, which is about the people having half the number of good friends or close friends as they used to have in their 90s, that's very true. One of the things being why we need friend, because man cannot live alone. Now even a person who is not living alone without without friends, if somebody is living, even he is not alone, he has a lot of other things to look at. Like now we have OTT platforms, we have YouTube, social media. You never feel alone, actually. On the face of it, I'll say, in your subconscious you are a very lonely man, but you never think that way. A few days back, I was talking to a psychologist. She is a very good friend, and she said you should start spending time with your own self for some time at least. And I told her that most of the time I'm not with my friends or with my family, I'm spending time with myself. Then she asked me, what exactly do you do in that time? And I told her, I'm either on the laptop or I'm going through reels or content on my phone. And she said, exactly. What was the last time that you were doing nothing? Nothing at all, staring at the wall. I said, I don't even remember. And she went like, that is when you spend time with yourself. You just stare at a wall. You just think in your head without any gadget in your hand. Perhaps not even a pen and paper to write it down. Spending time with our own selves is a very easy and a very difficult thing to do because we are not made to live alone. We are made to live in tribes, in groups. We cannot live alone. We have invented new materials or gadgets that make our minds somehow believe in a foolish way that we have a lot of friends while we don't actually have them. I know people who have like hundreds and thousands of followers on their Instagram, on their social media generally, TikTok, Facebook, whatsoever. When they passed away, there were hardly 10 or 20 people on their funeral. You
Do
know,
you, sorry to interrupt, do you think this is sad? This is the real thing a man should prepare, or the people behind him should be ready to face this fact that, look, you have 20,000 followers, but on your funeral, only 20 will show up. So, of course, the man is gone now. So, it becomes a sad thing for the people who are behind him, let's say his family. They are the one who will face the realistic situation.
I understand that. The thing is, if a guy thinks he has 20,000 friends and at his funeral only 20 show up, I don't care what side you you light it up, or you how you talk about it in any manner, for me it's very sad. It is sad. I won't expect 20,000 people to show up that day, but if any number less than 10,000 is showing up, that's very painful and very sad for me. They say there are only three important times in the life:
Yeah.
when we are born, when we fall in love, and when we die. See, if I have a good friend and he shows up at the funeral of someone I from my family or someone who I truly loved, they're there for me, to show me, like, not actually maybe sometimes they are not there uh, for the love of their friend, but sometimes it's only a gesture of telling them, okay, we are showing up to give you support, or at least because you should think that we are here, even if they don't mean it. Sometimes it happens that to avoid that later social pressure, we happen to show up. But if a friend dies, you don't go for anyone else. You go purely for that guy who passed away.
Because
Not
it was your friend.
Yeah, not for his family, not for anybody else. And that's a very important point. I'm sorry that I am starting this podcast with a very sad thing, but this is sad. Yes, friendship in these days, it's really sad. People would do friendship with you on their own terms, like having that idea of rich friends. You might be familiar with that idea, having rich friends. When you have rich friends, like, of course you and me have, we have rich friends.
Okay. Yeah.
We are their friends. They are not our friends into true meaning. They would be our friends only to the limit that suits them. Only to the point where they don't have to put any effort. We'll put efforts for that. They won't put effort for, and we'll, in our mind, will definitely be going like, it's all right. He's my friend, and he's like that. No, look at them when they are sitting with the people more successful than them. That is not the situation. They are behaving with them the same way we are behaving with them. So that's a sad thing to do. That's a sad thing to be. People, especially rich friends. I'm sorry, I brought up another idea of rich friends. Rich friends know how to deal the other guy, but the other guy would never understand the dynamics. That's very sad again. So yes, a few development that have happened in few decades, they are really painful in terms of friendship.
Understood. That's a very clear point. Okay, let me bring this thing. When you talk about rich friends, and at the same time put in your thought process that the cultural background or the people we know they come from ABC background and then they make it to the level of being rich or being successful. Okay, now consider the situation. So if they are from a culture where they think being rich is the ultimate goal. Number two scenario is being they come from a culture or a background where being rich was the thing which was considered normal. So both of these scenarios, okay, considered in mind, do these rich friends behave the same with other guys? Like we came from the rich background and who just became rich.
Yeah. See, old money is always different. That is right. Old money is always different, and new money is different. Sometimes people with old money behave very rudely, and but that is an exception. And sometimes the people with new money, they also go very polite. They go really good, very grounded, humbled. But again, that's an exception. Generally, it is the other way around. People with old money, they usually have a better approach towards the relationship, but the people with new money, they they weigh the relationships with money or gold. That's where the problem is. uh, I'll give you an example of, okay, before giving that example, let me clarify it. What do you mean by being rich? There are two things in being rich. One is having money, and the other thing is having status. Okay, let me take the name of some very credible personality. Let's take the name of Nawabzada Nasrullah Khan. He was a very
politician.
decent,
Yeah.
decent, and very classy, and a politician with an outstanding class. I mean, he was Nawab and he behaved like one, like a very decent man. Even if sweeper would go to him, he would greet him in the same way that he would greet a president, which is very rare trait in Pakistan. If I become rich and Nawab Nasrullah Khan or his family is short on money or they lose everything, I still cannot be a Nawab, because that trait that is running in the family, that hardly goes away. Exceptions are there, but yes, I've seen that traits move in families, they move in tribes. Now that doesn't matter. So those guys, like I'll say the family of Nawabzada Nasrullah Khan, because I know them personally, they are all very grounded, very humble people. They might lose everything, they might have no money, they'll still be rich because they have a rich class. I'm talking about the internal class, the mental class, I'll say.
Can we say it as DNA?
Sorry?
DNA?
DNA, yeah.
Yeah.
You can call it DNA, yes. Of course you can call it. On the other side, you know what happens is when you get new money, sometimes you feel, you tend to tell the people with old money that you are more than them. So that's what makes the things stink, I'll say. And that's where the problems happen. Such friends coming from the new money can be a major problem. Now I'll tell you another thing. In my case, all the guys with new money, they're very different kind of friends. Of course, if I start telling them on their face that you are a bad friend, they won't agree to me. Why? Because even the worst person in the world never thought he was the worst man in the world. He always thought that deep inside, the people don't understand him, that he's a very decent guy. He's a very good guy. Even the worst man in the world thinks that way. So there is no point of telling them these things. Yes. Then, okay, the question is why we are with them. The reason or the answer to that why would be very sad again. That sadness comes from, what options do we have if we don't have them?
Yeah.
What are the other options? Going to hunt for new friends? Because in today's world, if you want new friends, you have to go hunting for them, for good ones. So yes, as long as we don't have those things that come up to the mark, let's deal with what we have right now.
So here is a question for you. The next one. Are you ready?
I've always been ready.
Good man. You're a good man. All right. Gen Z spends 70% less time with friends in person than young people did in 2003. That is a fact from the Google. You can do it. So, are we the most connected generation in history? Are we the loneliest? Are we the lonely?
No, we are not lonely, because even in our times when we used to have a lot of friends, because we didn't have gadgets or we didn't have things to distract us from the friendship. Friendship was the only thing that we could look up to. Now people have a lot of things to look up to, which I don't